Hello there, my dear Qigong A Course in Miracle family. We are today on lesson 151. We have come a long, long way together. And it's also for me kind of starting a new stage in our ACIM Qigong together. So welcome to the Qigong support for A Course in Miracle students. I am Judith and you're at the Lucid Mind Center. And our lesson is today, lesson 151, all things are echoes of the voice of God. So how this is going to work is this. First, we're going to read and contemplate this lesson together. And I will not edit it out. So whatever comes, it stays. I just simply don't have a time to edit it out. And this is a very long lesson. It goes over 3 pages. And afterwards, I'm going to guide you to a suitable Qigong class. Now, I have already got 32 Qigong classes recorded at this particular moment, if you are watching me in 2024, and I am going to record a weekly Qigong class specifically for the things we are reading and specifically for A Course in Miracles students. You have come with me a long way. You understand Qigong now. You have done 150 Qigong classes with me. So now you can pick and choose from the Qigong classes I have recorded, which are all specially made for A Course in Miracles student. And I will always guide you to the classes which I believe are suitable to what we are doing. And obviously, when there are some classes which are coming up, I most likely will record. If some specific idea grabs my attention, I'm going to record the class. But since I'm recording, I'm going to most likely once a week or more often, once or twice a week, I'm going to record a new class for A Course in Miracles students. I've also started an English Qigong channel, which has got nothing to do with A Course in Miracles. So I might maybe sometimes will guide you to one of those classes. And especially if you're also interested to deepen your understanding of Qigong, you can come over. And I'm also starting to teach Lucid Mind Qigong. I hope that in a month or so, I will have the first workshops ready for the ones who want to deepen their understanding. My type of Qigong is that Lucid Mind Qigong is very influenced by A Course in Miracles because I can't help myself. This is what I'm thinking about. I've been thinking about it for over 15 years all the time. So I can't help myself. And so when I can see parallels in the Taoism, in the Buddhism, I take it and I incorporate it into my classes. If there is something which I don't agree with in the Qigong world or in the Taoism or Buddhism, which I'm picking up and I don't agree with it, I do not include it in my classes. So you who understand A Course in Miracles, this is going to be more beneficial to you because we are on the same kind of philosophical understanding. So before we start, make sure to subscribe to my channel so more Course in Miracles students can find me. And also, I would really, really like you to tell me how these classes are for you, how the reading of the lessons is for you, and how the Qigong classes are for you. And I would like to know how long you've been with the Course in Miracles and everything. It's very, very important that you connect to me because it gives me feedback. It keeps me going. And we are a community. We have decided we are walking this journey together because for some reason we have decided that we are making it our business to retrain our mind, and then with our consciousness change the consciousness of this world. So we are in this together. Thank you for being here before we even start. So let's begin reading our lesson together. Also gonna get my tea. If you have a tea as well, you can take a tea and then we can have a nice little enjoying moment here together while we're reading our lesson 151. All things are echoes of the voice of God. I just have to think about that immediately. All things. What things? This immediately what comes to my, what do you mean? Everything what I'm looking at? Everything what I'm looking at is the echoes of the voice of God? No. Yes, are echoes of the voice of God. So let's have a look what that actually means. No one can judge on partial evidence. That is not judgment. It is merely an opinion based on ignorance and doubt. Its seeming certainty is but the cloak for the uncertainty it would conceal. It needs irrational defense because it is irrational, and its defense seems strong, convincing, and without a doubt because of all the doubting underneath. And I have to tell you this is exactly what's happening to me at the moment, the last couple of days or 3 or 4 days, which I'm observing is that people are making judgments and they only have got half the information. So their information is wrong because they didn't dig deep into it. And then, of course, immediately when I realized it in other people, I was thinking to myself, well, where are you making the wrong conclusions? Because you haven't dug deep enough myself. So this is a very interesting one. So we can only have, and it says here, no one can judge on partial evidence. And that is what we have. That is not judgment. It's merely an opinion based on ignorance. And it seems that right now in our world, that is what is going on. It is an opinion based on ignorance and doubt and arrogance, I find. Its seeming certainty is but the cloak for the uncertainty it would conceal. It needs irrational defense because it is irrational. And its defense seems strong, convincing, and without a doubt because of all the doubting underneath. And when I observe my life I have got very early memories. I can remember almost everything not everything, but I can remember since about 4 years old, 4 years old. And I've also got memories before that. I can remember things before I even turned 1. There's I've got short memories there. And I remember always that I found that people were so ignorant. Also the other kids, I found that they were bullies. I've always felt somehow bullied, that if I probed or if I questioned, then I got bullied back. So then I learned as I grew up to not tell what I think or feel, and also learned to bully others because I had to protect myself. This is how I remember it. You do not seem to doubt the world you see. You do not really question what is shown you through the body's eyes. It's because we've been educated to do it that way. Nor do you ask why you believe it, even though you learned a long while since your senses do deceive. What you believe, that you believe them to the last detail which they report, is even stranger when you pause to recollect how frequently there have been faulty witnesses indeed. Why would you trust them so implicitly? Why but because of underlying doubt which you would hide with show of certainty. So this is very interesting here. We are misjudging situations even without anybody's influence. We are misjudging situations, and it happens often to us. Many, many times it's happened to me. I don't know how often it's happened to you, that you are making a judgment and then afterwards you realize, actually, I was wrong. But you might have reacted on this judgment and you might have actually hurt somebody or hurt yourself on the false judgment. And this is what the course means here. Our lesson is all things are echoes of the voice of God. How can you judge? Your judgment rests upon the witness that your senses offer you. Yet witness never falser was than this. But how else do you judge the world you see? You place pathetic faith in what your eyes and ears report. You think your fingers touch reality and close upon the truth. This is awareness which you understand and think more real than what is witnessed by the eternal voice of God himself. And it is amazing. So when I first read this, for me, this was like oh God, yes. For me, this was like a confirmation for that which I came with, I felt, or what I somehow knew. And I can't remember why I know it, but I feel that I knew this. And what we see or feel, and we come back to this perception field, this is not who we are, yet we identify with it completely. And also, when we are growing up and the pressure is strong from outside egos and your own ego, then you kind of get rid of this light within you, which you truly are. which you had when you were a child. You may remember it. You came with this light. You came with this innocence, with this openness. Hopefully, there was a loving surrounding. There was somebody who allowed you to express this loving innocence within you. And I'm talking about that always, that light, this innocence, this light within you. This is what the Course is also talking about. And then we got it beaten and bullied out of us. You think your fingers touch reality and close upon the truth. This is awareness which you understand and think more real than what is witnessed by the eternal voice of God himself. And it's about awareness. This is also very important. The Course talks very much about awareness. And awareness is of the mind. Can this be judgment? You have often been urged to refrain from judging, not because it is right to be withheld from you. You cannot judge. You merely can believe the ego's judgments, all of which are false. It guides your senses carefully to prove how weak you are. How helpless and afraid, how apprehensive of just punishment. No, how apprehensive of just punishment, how black with sin, how wretched in your guilt. This thing it speaks of and would yet defend it tells you is yourself. So this thing, that ego, it speaks of and would yet defend it tells you it is yourself. And you believe that this is so with stubborn certainty, yet underneath, and this is that child within you, yet underneath remains the hidden doubt that what it shows you as reality, which such conviction it does not believe. It is itself alone that it condemns. It is within itself it sees the guilt. It is its own despair it sees in you. So, and I believe that all despair and all anxiety and all depression comes from that we are, that we have quenched this innocence, this truth within us. We have quenched it down. We have pushed it. We have not allowed it to shine. And I have got many, many problems with it. It's like I know it, but I sometimes can't access it. It's like it's out of my reach. It's like I always said, it is that belt of fear. It's like the belt of fear, which is in the Chinese medicine, they're assigning the negative emotions to each one of the organ system, to each element, which then is assigned to organ systems. And behind those negative emotions is that there's where the virtues of these particular elements are. And it feels to me that this is exactly what we're doing. We are kind of floating along on this surface instead of actually going past this belt of fear, this belt of negative emotions, and sink deep into reality of who we truly are. And this is always with us. This is what makes this body alive even. This energy within us, this life force, chi. And it says here, it is its own despair as it sees in you. Hear not this voice. The witnesses it sends to prove to you its evil is your own are false. So it's saying you are not evil. And speak with certainty of what they do not know. Your faith in them is blind because you would not share the doubts their Lord cannot completely vanquish. You believe to doubt his vessels is to doubt yourself. Yet you must learn to doubt their evidence will clear the way to recognize yourself, and let the voice of God alone be judge of what is worthy of your own belief. Okay, so let me unpack this again. Hear not the voice of the ego. The witnesses it sends to prove to you its evil is your own are false. So it's trying to tell you, yes, you are the ego because you are afraid. So therefore, that is who you are. So I wake up in anxiety, and that is who I believe I am. And this is then the ego it's anchored itself again in my awareness. But if I want to not feel the anxiety or despair I might feel, then I have to unanchor myself from the ego. So it says here, the witnesses it sends to prove to you its evil is your own are false and speak with certainty of what they do not know. So they don't actually know it, but yes, I had it this morning again. I woke up with anxiety, and then it actually grew for about, I don't know, for 10, 15, 20 minutes after that, until I did my Qigong class, purged, got rid of a lot of the negative emotions, and then I could see the light within myself again. But if I don't do the Qigong, and I spent a long time, today I spent almost 2 hours on Qigong before I even sat down to record this. It's because if I don't do it, it's almost I carry this along and I'm spreading it with my words and with my actions and with my misery. I'm like spreading it into the world. And I refuse to do this. So I have to purge, get rid of it first before I'm going to talk with other people. Your faith in them is blind because you would not share the doubts the Lord cannot completely vanquish. So this is the thing. We have to decide and say, I am refusing to run around in this negative state of mind. And I'm going to do whatever it takes to come out of this negative state of mind. Negative state of awareness, negative awareness, because it's all about awareness. The mind is about awareness and everything what we are touching, seeing, and it appears to us as solid. It says here, are echoes of the voice of God. Everything what we actually see are just, they need the fuel. They need actually our mind as fuel to even appear to us as solid. Otherwise, they wouldn't be even existent there. So it's the mind which is projecting it outwards, and it's our senses which are picking up what we are projecting outwards. Very philosophical, I know. So your faith in them is blind because you would not share the doubts their Lord cannot completely vanquish. You believe to doubt his vessel. You believe to doubt his vessels is to doubt yourself. So you think that if you are doubting your anxiety, for example, my anxiety, then I'm doubting myself. You believe that if you're doubting your pain, you are doubting yourself. If you're doubting your despair, then you're doubting yourself. Let's see what the Course says about this. Yet you must learn to doubt their evidence will clear the way to recognize yourself, and let the voice of God alone be judge of what is worthy of your own belief. So what it means here, you have to learn, what I just said, you have to learn to doubt your judgment. If you're feeling bad, if you are not feeling happy and joyful, then you need to doubt what you are seeing, because then you're obviously seeing wrong. And you need to get rid of it whichever way you can. And then remember that you are the light of the world. Listen to that voice, to that angel voice, or to that child within you, or to that higher self, whichever way you can connect. Whatever, maybe you call it angels, whatever you call it, you need to connect to that, find the way back into the light. And for me, Qigong works. So and fitness training, weight training helps me. So when my ego goes rampant and I need to sweat, I need to lift some weight, I need to go for a walk, activate. This is also, I've got very big muscles, so this is what works for me. Maybe for you it works to go and swim in the sea. What helps me too. Maybe what helps you is to call a friend and have a coffee together, or even have a glass of wine together. I'm not saying that you should get drunk, but I'm just saying it is just about releasing that tension, which releasing that connection and of self-doubt, associating yourself with that negative emotion. I'm doing it all the time. And it's not like I'm saying this to you and it's like flowing through me and I understand it, But I fall all the time into these negative things, into these negative spells. And I have come to the conclusion, the reason I'm falling into those negative spells is because I need to understand it. Because I need to unravel it, and I need to be able to explain it. If I don't understand it myself, I cannot explain none of it to anybody. And I have chosen to be a teacher. So I have to understand it. So, yet you must learn to doubt their evidence. The voices of those negative emotions will clear the way to recognize yourself. They will not clear the way. They're just going to bring you deeper into despair. And let the voice of God alone be the judge of what is worthy of your own belief. And that means that you have to trust the higher self, and you have to allow it, ask it for help, and say, come and help me. He will not tell you that your brother should be judged by what your eyes behold in him, nor what his body's mouth says to your ears, nor what your fingers touch reports of him. And this is here again. So not is it only that you should not judge what he says, but if you notice that the ego is talking with him, you need to look past his ego. And when we are children, we don't have a chance to look past it because our brain hasn't developed. So our ego is fully intact because the world really has become a school of the ego. So our parents, they are judging for us, and we are drinking it raw. We believe it, whatever they say. So we just kind of suck it in and make it ours. And it's actually their ego who was talking to us, not their light. And what we meant to do is we're supposed to look past their ego and see the light within them, not judge them for what their ego was saying to us. He passes by such idle witnesses which merrily bear false witness to God's Son. He recognizes only what God loves, and in the holy light of what he sees, do all the ego's dreams of what you are vanish before the splendor he beholds. Okay? All things are echoes of the voice of God. Let him be judge of what you are, for he has certainty in which there is no doubt, because it rests on certainty so great that doubt is meaningless before its face. Christ cannot doubt himself. And I really need to speak with you about this. Christ cannot doubt himself. Who is Christ? Now, in the Catholic teachings, Christ is only Jesus, and all of us else, we are not. But Jesus saying that Jesus, the historical Jesus, what we have in the Bible, says it in the Bible, he's the Son of God and we are all the same. That means we are all the Christ. And some people, some religions would call this blasphemous if we say that, well, I'm also Christ. They're going to say, how do you dare? Who do you think you are? And this is the problem. We have been taught from the very small age into our innocence, when we became innocent, full of light, we've been taught, who do you think you are? How do you dare thinking that you are the light? But it's the Christ within you we need to connect to. Each of us has got the Christ within. Each of us has got light within. In fact, light and Christ are the fuel which make this whole illusion even possible. We make this possible, what we're seeing here. The love within you is the fuel which with the ego is taking its energy from. Otherwise, it doesn't work. Christ within you is the original fuel, the light within you, and the ego feeds on it, takes it from there. So let him be judge of what you are, for he has certainty in which there is no doubt, because it rests on certainty with a capital C, so great that doubt is meaningless before its face. Christ cannot doubt himself. Christ cannot doubt. So you, if you connect to Christ, you cannot doubt yourself. The voice of God can only honor him, rejoicing in his perfect, everlasting sinlessness. Whom he has judged can only laugh at guilt, unwilling now to play with toys of sin. unheeding of the body's witnesses before the rapture of his holy face. And thus let him judge you. And thus he judges you, he with a capital H. Accept his word of what you are, for he bears witnesses to your beautiful creation and the mind whose thought created your reality. Again, both. So there's mind, everything with capital letters, and the mind whose thought created your reality. What can the body mean to him who knows the glory of the Father and the Son? What whispers of the ego can he hear? What could convince him that your sins are real? So when you start looking with this light within you, it's like almost as if the light switches on, and then everything you look at becomes echoes of the words of the voice of God. Everything become echoes of the Holy Spirit, of the light within you. What can the body mean to him who knows the glory of the Father and the Son? What whispers of the ego can he hear? What could convince him that your sins are real? Let him be judge as well of everything that seems to happen to you in this world. His lessons will enable you to bridge the gap between illusions and the truth. And that is that gap. How big is that gap between illusions and truth? And we need to bridge that. So he will remove all faith that you have placed in pain, disaster, suffering, and loss. And this is something you must contemplate within yourself. How much faith have you actually placed on pain and disaster and suffering and loss? How much? Our whole world is focusing on pain, and we are getting sucked in by it. And and our personal look on life is also focusing on pain, putting our faith into pain and sickness and despair. We're putting our faith into it. Anxiety, in my case. He gives you vision which can look beyond these grim appearances and can behold the gentle face of Christ in all of them. That is what it is. We want to see the face of Christ, the gentle face of Christ, the gentle face of Christ, the light within everything we look at, within everything we hear, into everything we touch. Suddenly everything we perceive, also with our senses, become witnesses of the voice of God. He gives you vision which can look beyond these grim appearances and can behold the gentle face of Christ in all of them. You will no longer doubt that only good can come to you who are beloved of God, for he will judge all happenings and teach the single lesson which they all contain. He will select the elements in them which represent the truth and disregard those aspects which reflect but idle dreams. And he will reinterpret all you see and all occurrences, each circumstance, and every happening which seems to touch on you in any way from his one frame of reference, wholly unified and sure. And you will see the love beyond the hate, the constancy in change, the pure in sin, and only heaven's blessing on the world. So let me read this last sentence again. And you will see the love beyond hate. And this is exactly what we are teaching. This is what we're doing with Qigong. We want to see the love behind the hate. The hate accumulates negative emotion of the heart, hate and impatience. So we want to look beyond it. And then the virtue is love and patience. The constancy in change. You're going to see the constancy in change. This is the symbol of yin yang. The pure in sin, because there is no sin. There is only purity. And only heaven's blessing on the world. And you want to see heaven's blessing, the constant heaven's blessing, like the warmth of the sun, like the gravity of the earth, and like the the consistency in the movement of our solar system within the movement of our galaxy, which brings the consistency. It is showing us from minute to minute, it's showing us the consistency in the movement. And we are blind to it. We don't see it. Our Earth is turning around at an incredible speed around itself. Yet to us, it seems to be quiet. And it's turning around the sun in an incredible speed. So it's spinning around itself, and then it actually moves at an incredible speed through space around the sun. Yet to us, it seems to be quiet. And then the sun speeds and turns around itself and speeds through the galaxy in space. And yet to us, it all seems quiet. And then that galaxy, which is spinning, is moving around in the space with billions of other galaxies, with this internal space. And yet, to us, it seems all calm. So the pure in sins, the constancy in change, and only heaven's blessings on the world. Such is your resurrection, for your life is not a part of anything you see. It stands beyond the body and the world, past every witness for unholiness, within the holy, holy as itself. Within the holy and holy as itself. So that means that such is your resurrection. So you are rising, you are remembering, you are waking up, you're becoming lucid. Resurrection means that you are returning to light, that you're becoming lucid again. For your life is not a part of anything you see. It stands beyond the body and the world, past every witness for unholiness, within the holy, holy as itself. So when you read all this and you analyze what this actually could mean, then it seems like the Chinese or the Taoists were right. So there is this central channel. We have got this energetic field, which I call the field of projection, where we're projecting our ideas onto, and it reflects back what we want to see. And then beyond this field, there is the holiness, yet also within it's the holy, within itself holy. This is what it says here. Within the holy, holy as itself. In everyone and everything, it's everywhere. This is what you're going to see. His voice would speak to you of nothing but yourself and your Creator, who is one with Him. So will you see the holy face of Christ in everything, and hear in everything no sound except the echo of God's voice? And the key here is to start using our senses, to start using our awareness. This is a decision we have to make. Remember the last lesson. Heaven is a decision I must make. So I decide to see the light in everything. You decide to see the light in everything. You decide to see the beauty, the divine in this expression of life, of this flower. You decide to see, even this is a plastic tree, you decide to see the beauty in this plastic tree because it makes a nicer atmosphere. You decide to see the beauty in this textile which somebody has designed. You decide to see the beauty in yourself. You decide to see the beauty even in your aging body. Like I have my aging, sometimes aching body. I decide to see the beauty in it. So I experience the age as well, because some people did not even get to experience that. I do. I'm experiencing what it feels to be a 55-year-old woman. That is a blessing. I can look at it miserably, or I can see, well, that's actually a blessing that I can experience that. Experience the sun. I mean, I'm living in Gran Canaria. This is the Canary Islands. We have got 360 sunny days. And my ego can go so incredibly rampant that I cannot even see the beauty in the beautiful day. That's how crazy it can go. That I cannot see the beauty in the sea, which is very close to me. That I cannot see the beauty in my partner or my children or my animals. That I can't see it because the ego anchors itself suddenly in my awareness, and then suddenly I'm kind of lost. And the the way out of it usually is other people. Other people help me out. People who have not ever heard of the Course in Miracles or of Qigong, but just their kindness, their smile at me, their embracing me, helping me, listening to me. It is other people which help me remember that I am not this ego miserable self. You help me. You help me with your presence. You do. So such is your resurrection, for your life is not a part of anything you see. It stands beyond the body and the world, past every witness for unholiness, within the holy, holy as itself, in everyone and everything. His voice would speak to you of nothing but yourself with a capital S and your Creator, who is one with him. But yourself and your Creator, who is one with him. So yourself and your Creator are one. What does that mean? Think about it. If yourself and your Creator are one, what can this possibly mean? So will you see the holy face of Christ in everything, and hear in everything no sound except the echo of God's voice, even in the crying child, the noise of a football match, which I don't particularly like, the noise in the traffic. If you can hear the echo of God's voice in there, then you have resurrected. Then you have become aware of the light within, of that self within you. Listen to this. We practice wordlessly today, except at the beginning of the time you spend with God. We introduce these times with but a single slow repeating of the thought with which the day begins. And then we watch our thoughts appealing silently to Him who sees the elements of truth in them. Let Him evaluate each thought that comes to mind, remove the elements of dreams, and give them back to you as clean ideas that do not contradict the will of God. Okay? So let Him evaluate. So you call in the higher self. We introduce these times with but a single slow repeating of the thought with which the day begins, which is, all things are echoes of the voice of God. And then we watch our thoughts appealing silently to Him who sees the elements of truth in them. Let Him evaluate each thought that comes to mind, remove the elements of dreams, and give them back to you as clean ideas that do not contradict the will of God. Give Him your thoughts, and I can try it. Try to give it. Imagine in your mind's eye that you are giving those thoughts which are hurting you. If you have got physical pain, imagine that you are giving them the physical pain. Whatever, write it on a piece of. Imagine that you're writing it on a piece of paper and you're giving this. Or if it's, for example, if you have got pain in your foot, then you give him the shoe. Imagine that you are meeting this Christ of yours at an altar, and then you give him the shoe, and then see what he gives you back. Let him evaluate each thought that comes to mind, remove the elements of dreams, and give them back to you as clean ideas that do not contradict the will of God. Give him your thoughts, and he will give them back as miracles which joyously proclaim the wholeness and the happiness. God wills his Son as proof of his eternal love. And as each thought is thus transformed, it takes on healing power from the mind which saw the truth in it and failed to be deceived by what was falsely added. All the threads of fantasy are gone, and what remains is unified into a perfect thought that offers its perfection everywhere. Spend 15 minutes thus when you awake, and gladly give another 15 more before you go to sleep. Your ministry begins as all your thoughts are purified. Let me repeat this again. Your ministry begins as all your thoughts are purified. So are you taught to teach the Son of God the holy lesson of his sanctity. No one can fail to listen. When you hear the voice of God, give honor to God's Son. And everyone will share the thoughts with you which he has retranslated in your mind. Let me just repeat this. And everyone will share the thoughts with you which he has retranslated in your mind. And that's why we need to connect with our higher self. We need to do whatever it takes to reconnect to our higher self. And that is the only thing we need to teach anybody else. We need to remind them on a consistent basis that the holy self is within them. And this is what I want to teach you or remind you, to listen to your higher self, to reconnect to your higher self. And Qigong is such a great tool to do this, to reconnect, clear your mind, purify first, let go of everything, and then allow yourself to sink in and ask and visualize. Imagine that you're watching a movie within your mind, but guided with the thoughts and your awareness and your decisions, what you want. I.e., you want to see heaven here. You want to see heaven on earth. So spend 15 minutes thus when you're awake, and gladly give another 15 more before you go to sleep. Your ministry begins as all your thoughts are purified. So we need to purify the thoughts. And we need to purify daily, because the ego gets hold of us daily. So are you taught to teach the Son of God the holy lesson of his sanctity? No one can fail to listen. When you hear the voice of God, give honor to God's Son. And everyone will share the thoughts with you which he has retranslated in your mind. Such is your Eastertide, your resurrection. Such is your return to lucidity. And so you lay the gift of snow-white lilies on the world, replacing witnesses to sin and death. And it is so important. Yesterday I watched a program with that Stephen, the life of a CEO or something. He's a big podcaster on YouTube. He's got big channels. And I watched one where he invited a lady who had written a book about what happens if we have an atomic war. And basically within 75 minutes, the world will become an unlivable space. Nothing can survive on this because of the radiation, and millions of people are going to die. If in that case, worst case scenario, millions and millions of people die, and the ones which are going to survive, going to have to live underground and wish they were dead. And for a few seconds, it triggered fear. And then afterwards, it actually did a fascinating thing to me. I suddenly became grateful for enjoying life. It actually reversed my bad feelings, my anxiety. Instantly, I became more grateful. I was like, okay, well, I need to enjoy this as long as I have it, because you never know who might press this button and throw it all to pieces. So might as well enjoy what there is right now, because I never know how long it takes. It might take because I get hit by a car and then it's all over, or it might be all over for all of us at the same time because some madman presses the red button. And so it's not only about the things which have grown, it's also about the things which are man-made, appreciating how many people were actually involved in all this. And when you're doing this, then you are basically laying those lilies on the world. This is what this phrase means. Such is your Eastertide, and so you lay the gift of snow-white lilies on the world. You're basically laying forgiveness onto the world. You're just basically accepting all as is and just shine the light, replacing witnesses to sin and death. So you're replacing witnesses. You don't want to witness sin and death. You don't want to focus on the misery and pain. You don't want to focus on that no more. Through your transfiguration is the world redeemed and joyfully released from guilt. Now do we lift our resurrected mind in gladness and in gratitude to Him who has restored our sanity to us. Let me say that again. I'm actually getting emotional. Now do we lift our resurrected minds in gladness and in gratitude to Him who has restored our sanity to us. And we will hourly remember Him who is salvation and deliverance, the Christ in us. It is very important that you remember that you are Christ, that the Christ is within you. It is not something which is outside of you. Yes, it is also outside of you. And when you forget who you are, this is where it appears to be. But it's within you. It's when you are starting this Christ vision, when you are looking at it with the light, when you are projecting the light out, and then you can see the beauty in everything. And we will hourly remember Him who is salvation and deliverance, that Christ within you, that holy self within you. As we give thanks, the world unites with us and happily accepts our holy thoughts, which heaven has corrected and made pure. Now has our ministry begun at last to carry round the world the joyous news that truth has no illusions, and the peace of God through us belongs to everyone. All things are echoes of the voice of God, and now has our ministry begun at last to carry round the world the joyous news that truth has no illusions, and the peace of God through us belongs to everyone. So the ministry begins when you have purified your thoughts. So that's why in the Qigong class, we need to purify our thoughts first. And the course suggesting that you spend 15 minutes in the morning and in the evening before you sleep on this awareness. And let go of the things which and let go of those thoughts the ego pretends to be you, because they're not. All things are the echoes of the voice of God. So for this particular class, I'm actually suggesting again the seated six healing sounds, which are gonna basically purify all the negative emotions and replace them with the virtues of each one of the elements. And this also you got about 10 minutes at the end where you can just apply the idea of today. And also I'm going to suggest a standing meditation for you where you are really going to connect to your holy self. You're going to become really aware of your central channel and become aware of who you truly are. So you can look at the world with the light of love. Or you can just pick one, whichever you want. So here's the 6 healing sounds, the seated 6 healing sounds. Here is where you connect to the central channel. And here you have got the list to all Qigong classes where you can pick and choose from if you choose another one. Let me know how it goes. Love, light, and Qi to you.